Let nobody be fooled. The hundreds of attacks being made by Houthi, the sinister mobsters and thugs based in Yemen, who are hated by the Yemeni people, are all created by Iran. Any further attack or retaliation by the Houthis will be met with great force, and there is no guarantee that the force will stop there.
אנחנו פועלים נגדם. פעלנו בעבר, נפעל גם בעתיד, אני לא יכול לפרט את כל הדברים. ארצות הברית גם בתיאום איתנו פועלת גם נגדם. זה לא זבנג וגמרנו, אבל יהיו זבנגים.
As the world holds its breath, the Middle East teeters on the brink of a full-scale war between two of its most powerful adversaries, Israel and Iran. It all began when a missile fired by the Tehran-backed Houthi group landed near Israel's main airport, Ben Gurion. Although the missile caused no casualties, it was a bold and unprecedented attack that Israel could not ignore. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu swiftly vowed to retaliate against Iran, holding it responsible for the attack. In a televised address, Netanyahu declared, Iran will bear the consequences for this act of aggression. He emphasized that Israel would not tolerate such attacks on its soil and promised a strong response. Iran, however, denied any direct involvement in the missile attack, stating that the Houthis act independently. Nevertheless, Iran's defense minister, Aziz Nasserzadeh, issued a stern warning. If the Zionist regime or the United States make a mistake, Iran's response will be immediate and crushing. This rhetoric has only heightened tensions, with both sides engaging in a war of words. Recent reports indicate that Iran is preparing its military defenses, with senior officials inspecting air defense systems in Khuzestan province, signaling readiness for potential strikes. This latest escalation is not an isolated incident. It is deeply intertwined with the ongoing war in Gaza, where Israel has been engaged in a fierce conflict with Hamas, another group backed by Iran. The Houthis in Yemen who fired the missile are also part of Iran's axis of resistance, a network of proxy groups that Iran uses to project power across the region. This network includes Hezbollah in Lebanon, which has been involved in skirmishes with Israel along its northern border. The current war in Gaza, which began after Hamas launched a brutal attack on Israel last year, has further strained relations. Israel accuses Iran of supplying Hamas with weapons and funding, while Iran denies direct involvement but praises Hamas's resistance. The fall of Syrian President Bashar Assad, a key Iranian ally, has further weakened Iran's regional influence, potentially pushing it to act more aggressively through its proxies. The roots of this conflict trace back decades. Iran's support for Hezbollah began in the 1980s, with significant financial and military aid, including an estimated $400 million annually by 2010. Hezbollah's 1985 manifesto explicitly called for Israel's final obliteration, a goal shared by other Iran-backed groups. Since Israel's withdrawal from southern Lebanon in 2000, low-level conflicts have persisted, particularly around the Shaba Farms region. The election of Iranian hardliner Mahmoud Ahmadinejad in 2005 marked a turning point, intensifying proxy wars and covert operations between the two nations. A full-fledged open war between Israel and Iran would have catastrophic implications for the entire region. Israel has one of the most advanced militaries in the world, with a nuclear arsenal, while Iran has a large conventional military and a vast network of proxies. A conflict could involve airstrikes, missile attacks, and even cyber warfare. The risk of it escalating into a regional war is high, with countries like Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq potentially being drawn in. In November 2024, Israel signaled its intent to target Iran-backed groups in Iraq, citing ballistic missile transfers monitored by satellites. Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani warned that such actions could be a pretext for expanding the war. The United States, as Israel's closest ally, would likely be involved, either directly or by providing military support. Recent U.S. sanctions on Iranian and Chinese entities for procuring missile components highlight efforts to curb Iran's capabilities. On the other hand, Iran's allies, including Russia and China, might provide assistance, further complicating the situation. Iran has threatened to retaliate against U.S. bases, disrupt trade in the Straits of Hormuz, or launch another attack on Israel if its nuclear facilities are targeted. The economic impact would be severe, with oil prices likely to skyrocket and global markets to plunge. Moreover, the human cost would be immense, with civilians on both sides bearing the brunt of the conflict. World leaders have been working behind the scenes to prevent a full-scale war. In April 2025, Israel had planned to strike Iranian nuclear sites but was waved off by U.S. President Donald Trump, who preferred diplomacy. Trump's decision followed internal debates, with some U.S. officials skeptical of a strike's effectiveness and wary of sparking a broader war. Iran signaled a willingness to negotiate, but its officials, including senior Supreme Leader Advisor Ali Larijani, have threatened nuclear weaponization if attacked. These threats come amid reports of Iran seeking Russian assistance for its nuclear program. As we stand on the precipice of potential catastrophe, we must ask ourselves, is there a way to de-escalate this conflict before it's too late? Can diplomacy succeed where military threats have failed? And if war does break out, what will be the long-term consequences for the Middle East and the world? As the world watches and waits, the fate of the region hangs in the balance.